3, 2, 1. Ready for the YouTubes.
A radio show that confesses Christ
without confusing the law and the gospel.
A radio show that takes
Pastor
Scripture
Flammy.
seriously.
Without taking ourselves so seriously.
You're
Pastor Flammy is the only pastor ever mentioned in the show.
Table Talk
You never
Radio.
say my name, I never say your name. And we're going to be like, who's Pastor Flammy?
I like how he ran in the room thinking that you accidentally
You can't hear me?
articulated baptism incorrectly. Like, wait a minute, you're
He said to
mistaken.
He said, you sound like a heretic.
Right? Yeah. It wasn't like, boy, they must be playing a game where they're articulating someone else's belief. It was, I think Pastor Wolfmueller is off his rocker.
I'm a little bit disturbed that you think that I would actually teach that about baptism, Pastor Flammy.
And it's so deserved to be crunch. I mean, mega crunch. So, you guys would put
Mega
the mega
crunch.
crunch on the song. That would be awesome. Keep preaching the word, pastors. Keep it mediocre and hilarious.
Your weekly reassurance that things are relatively not that bad. This is Table Talk Radio.
Yeah, that's right. It could always be worse. At least it's not 24 hours of Table Talk Radio. Didn't that happen one time? We have a 24 hours. You played Table Talk Radio for like 24 hours on some a radio station. Or something?
No, we used to do that. We used to have the Live 365 station, and we just do a bunch of reruns. Wasn't that just sound terrible? Yeah, I mean, all Table Talk Radio all day. I mean, what?
It's like someone signed you up, just it's like getting rickrolled.
Well, the reason we had to quit doing that was because of the humanitarian thing. I mean, it was like waterboarding and listening to Table Talk Radio nonstop. So they deemed it to be.
Oh, the prisoners of
inhumane.
war! Like, could you guys please stop? Getting emails from. Here's my buzzword: shame. I'm excited about today's show. By the way, we're gonna play Name That Church Body after we do buzzwords. Shame is connected to guilt, but different. And here's how they're different. The opposite of guilt. Did we talk about this the other day?
Long time ago. Go ahead.
What's the opposite of guilt? This is a game called What's the Opposite of?
Righteousness?
Innocence. Yeah.
Innocence.
Yeah, righteousness is fine. Innocence. But the opposite of shame is honor. Ooh, and that lets us get the sense of that guilt is how we stand before a law or a rule, and shame is how we stand before a person. It's very interesting. Now, so just to imagine how it was a couple of years ago, when like the law of God and the general sort of right and wrong of the culture is the same, then shame and guilt are together. But now, as the law of God and the expectations of the culture start to separate, now you can feel shamed of something, but you're not guilty. You didn't break a law, vice versa. So now what's happening now is the standards are starting to separate. And that's one of the things we were talking about, the cancel culture. Remember cancel culture? Which we're in favor of. And
we designed cancel culture.
That's what Paul says, mark and avoid. That's cancel culture. But there's actually a difference, because what is the standard that you're using to cancel, right? And now cancel culture, it trades in shame. You should be ashamed of yourself, which is Psalm 4. Oh, how long will you turn my glory into shame? So anyway, and speaking of shame, we should note that our headphones are the same size, right? It's just that your head is a lot bigger than mine. Is that?
I thought that was really funny the first time you said it. Not so much.
How many times have I said it?
I don't know.
It's COVID. I can't remember.
At least
anything.
twice now.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I just look over there and I think you look more and more like Gru every day. Remember Gru? Did that? I don't think that joke made it online. That's mean.
I'm sure.
I just say the word shame and I'm like, I just should start mocking Evan.
Yeah, you should. You should be ashamed of yourself.
That's actually true.
All right, I don't have my buzzword on index cards. I don't have a Sharpie and a stack of index cards.
Come
here,
on.
But, Sanhedrin, or as you might
that's
say,
complicated.
the Sanhedrin.
Is that? Are you making fun of me because I'm Texan?
Sure. Yeah. Any chance I get.
Sanhedrin, those Sanhedrin tarnations. those Sanhedrin are always something. They're a bunch of rascals. That's my best Texas accent.
You need to work on that.
Pretty soon I'm going to know a Texan accent, a Texan imitating an Australian. Tarnations, mate. Yeah, that's
fine.
This is really bad.
You can work on that before
this
you bring
is really
it to air.
terrible. I interviewed Dr. Kleinig, and I forgot. I can't believe it. I forgot to change my video to upside down. Remember how I was supposed to do that? I was gonna rotate my video like this during the interview, and then flip it. Oh, I can't believe I forgot. Anyway, Sanhedrin. Tell me more about that.
So this, we think this came up around the 2nd or 3rd century BC, but it's a council of 70 made up of priests, elders, scribes, but it's all under the high priest. So this is you're still sideways, by the way.
I think this looks like I'm looking directly at you.
It's true.
I'm looking actually down on you.
Shame.
This is only funny on YouTube.
That's true. So the great high priest is, or the high priest is the the leader? What's the word? The chairman of the Sanhedrin. And so these are the guys who are really out for it with Jesus. And this comes out particularly in the Gospel of John, where you have like this debate going on within the Sanhedrin. And then you have this, that it's better that one man die for a nation than for the entire. I mean, this is amazing. I mean, the prophetic utterance that comes from his mouth unknowingly. And so he means, look, if we let this Jesus guy keep doing what he's doing, the whole nation's going to lose out. You know, that there's this whole thing of the Jews and the Roman Empire and all this going on. But I mean, as he said it, it actually is true that one man dies for the entire nation. It's great.
I know at the Sanhedrin, I think Edersheim told me that the Sanhedrin went back to, remember when Jethro told Moses, pick 70 men? And that was the invention of the Sanhedrin. It was interesting also that it was made up of priests and lay people. So there was Pharisees also on the Sanhedrin. So the Sadducees.
It was like an LCMS convention.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's, you just uttered a prophecy like the high priest.
They were like, all right, we were going to consider this resolution, but did not make it through the floor committee. So
the Pharisees were the lay people, but they were like the lay theologians. They were like the Melanchthons. And then the Sadducees were the priests. And both Pharisees and Sadducees made up the Sanhedrin. There's this long question about whether St. Paul, who was a Pharisee, was on the Sanhedrin, but it seems like he was like an attendant. He was like the synodical secretary. He had an elected position, but he wasn't a delegate.
He was an advisory delegate.
I can't wait to convention season. Too bad we put it off for. Do you know how we voted to delay? This is inside baseball from Missouri Synod stuff. There's the convention every 3 years, and they said, should we delay it for a year? And I said, is there an option for 2?
I know. And so we need like a quarter of the congregations to vote for it to be valid, and what, a simple majority or something like that. I was thinking like, okay, we'll get 30% of the congregations to vote. Like 60% of the congregations voted on that thing. And I just like, if they get a chance to delay a convention, I am in on that vote. We're debating, women in ministry. Like, I don't know, we probably won't vote on that one. But delaying a convention,
that's right.
That is one thing we'll vote for.
That matters.
All right,
Sanhedrin. How am I supposed to use that? We're gonna play the game. Name that church body, and you got the computer stuff because you're the young tech savvy.
That's right.
Co-host.
Although we've been doing this show for 11 years or something like that.
That's a long time.
It used to be that you would just come and sit in front of the microphone and be the. Would you be the talent?
Yeah, of course.
You're
I
the
don't even know why
talent.
you had to ask that question.
Talent, and I was doing all the tech stuff. And
Talent.
now I'm the talent, and you're doing all the tech stuff.
Talent. I know, on the old YouTubes.
But
I've
you're
got
doing all the YouTubes. You got the Zoom going on. What do you got there?
I got the book called Popular Symbolics. And so you're gonna give me information from a church on the internet, and I got to try to guess what kind of church it is. And
what
then
does symbolics mean in that sense?
it's like creeds. So a symbol would be like the Book of Concord would be our Christian symbol. So the symbol means creed or theological statement or whatever.
So that's not a picture book.
It's no, if only. It's like that guy looks reformed. This cartoon looks kind of like the Pope. Nope, it's not, unfortunately, a picture book. So I'm gonna read from this, and you're gonna read from the interwebs, and then we're gonna try to guess the church body. That sounds like fun, actually.
That sounds like a lot of fun, and I'm sure a lot of points to be had in doing that.
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna take a break real quick, and then dive right in. We always have that first segment that we're obligated to kind of squander away with the hopes that we'll get it out of our system.
Yes.
And ready to start with real content.
I'm gonna be
So
very serious
if you're
coming back.
If you're listening to a future broadcast, just start in about 12 minutes into the show.
No more
you'll be
shaming.
fine.
No more.
Yeah.
No more mockery.
Hold on. I got that documented. No more mockery.
Just down to serious business. Down to the brass tacks, as we say at the convention.
Yeah, and
the Sanhedrin meeting. All right.
Okay, so you're listening to Table Talk Radio. We'll be right back to play Name That Church Body. Stay tuned. I liked it better when I had your mic muted, like at the beginning of the show.
I don't think you can mute me from the YouTubes. That's pretty good.
This is Table Talk Radio. You have been warned.
Oh. Okay. Yep.
I tried to cancel culture Pastor Wolfmueller.
It didn't work. If you want to hear the show where Evan mutes me, you can listen to the podcast. If you want to hear free range Wolfmueller, totally free from being canceled, that's on the YouTubes.
Yeah, that's the WikiLeaks of Table Talk Radio.
I think it's true. Nobody is more serious about goofing around than us.
That's right. We don't take this lightly.
No.
We take it so lightly that we don't take it lightly that we.
Our lightness is so heavy.
All right, so
you got to go first because we don't know how long the internet's going to be around, and I'm going to have this book forever.
That's
so
true. That's true. All right. So I'll just to set this up, this is a article that was written. It's not like a traditional, this is what we believe, but it's an article based upon this group's beliefs.
I understand.
The title is called What We Believe is What We See. It says, have you ever noticed how an interview sometimes takes more than about says more about the person asking the questions than the one who is answering? I've been interviewed for a few magazines and news programs myself recently. I'm always grateful for the opportunity to speak about the things that are close to my heart. I'll omit the first thing because that would give it away. Global spirituality and creating communities around the world through which individuals can both be enlightened and lift up each other in friendship and unity. But the slant is often found more in the questions than the answers. For instance, one could ask, who are you? What do you believe in? And another might ask, what do you think you are? What do you know? The questions seek the same answers, and yet one is posed with genuine curiosity and openness to learn, while the other is served cold with a combative nature. Any thoughts so far?
What do you think you're saying? What you should ask me.
What do you think that you're listening?
What do you think your thoughts are so far? Well, what I think my thoughts are, what I cannot understand, I don't know if this is Francis Chan or some other cult leader, but it's got something about the global business is curious to me. But there's not much theology so far. It's just global spirituality. an enlightening community of friendships.
Yeah, this is tough. But I'll keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, so is one right and one wrong? Not necessarily. In fact, a healthy dose of skepticism can be good to have in certain situations. What is fascinating to me is how a single preconceived notion can lock us into certain ways of thinking. By the way, can I share this, but you not look at it?
If I close my eyes, I guess. I'll close my eyes.
Well, can't you like minimize the video so you can't see it?
Yes, I can do that. Okay.
Okay, do that. So that way the
Oh,
listener
wait, you
can see
cannot
what I'm
minimize Zoom when you're recording the meeting.
Oh, never mind then.
Who
Don't worry
knew?
about it?
Hey, I'll close my eyes. Don't worry.
You want me to screen share this?
Yeah. I'm all about the visual effects. That'll be great.
I used to know how to do this.
What you do is you press the screen share button.
Oh, under more. Got it. Wait, no, where is it?
Hold on. Don't do it yet. I'm opening my eyes. Maybe I have to make you the co-host. Now,
Oh, there, I got it. No, it's on there.
okay. All right. I'm not looking
You
now.
ready?
Eyes are closed. Boom.
All right. Okay. Our capacity to learn is limited only by that which we think that we know already. This sense of bias is not reserved
What?
for journalism alone. It is a human nature to prejudge a person or a situation at first sight. Heck,
I don't like this game.
sometimes we do it before we even come face to face with them. We think this one is good or this thing's bad. We think what we see is absolute truth, but no. What we see is a result of what we believe to be truth. It reminds me of a famous parable, a story of a student who comes to meet his teacher for the first time.
Yeah.
The teacher pours him a cup of a tea and it fills it. The student's cup begins to overflow. Nonetheless, the teacher continues to pour.
What? Crazy
The
teacher.
student is taken aback, and rightfully so. I mean, he
Oh,
is spilling. Yeah. Anyway. He is soaking in tea, and the teacher is still pouring. What are you doing? He asked the teacher. You are like this cup, says the wise sage.
Whoa.
I cannot teach you
Too
until
small.
you empty yourself of all that you think you already know.
Oh. Speaking
This
of cup,
week's portion of the something, the Creator tells the Israelites, go
wait.
to the land of
So this week's portion of the something.
I'm omitting that lest I give it away.
I know, but that's my only clue so far.
The Creator tells the Israelites, go into the land of Israel. It will be good for you. Yet when Moses sends men to spy on the land, they will bring back reports that it is a terrible place. There are many commentaries on the issue. Some believe the spies lied because they knew going to Israel would mean losing Moses as a leader, and they were afraid. Others believe it was due to their own ego. Whatever the case, they saw what they saw was based on their own fearful beliefs. They believed to go into Israel would be their ruin, so that when they looked upon the land, all that they saw was negative.
That's Bible.
We are the same.
Oh.
What we believe, this is almost over. What we believe to be negative will surely see and experience as such. Whereas when we know there is the Creator's hand in everything and acknowledge the light that abides within all people and circumstances,
Wow.
we see the good and therefore we can experience good.
Whoa.
This week, empty your cup.
Whoa.
Forget what you think you know.
Mm.
Be open to seeing people as you've never seen them before. Be willing to try new things. Let go of preconceived notions and enter into all situations knowing that they will be for the best. We don't need to be journalists to benefit from letting go of our biases, our judgments, and our prejudice. In fact, journalists would benefit in doing that.
Oh, yeah.
This is also a powerful week to build our self-esteem.
Oh.
Remember, what others say or believe
Self-esteem.
about you says a lot more about them than it does about you, and vice versa.
I'm regretting the group
What you
comment.
believe to be true of others says more about you than it does about them.
Mm.
When we know there is good in all things and all people, we will always experience the best life has to offer.
That's ironically stated that if when someone insults you, it says more about them, and then it's the business of, which seems kind of, and then everyone's
Well, I was
good.
wondering, if I'm supposed to unload everything I already know, would I have to unload the reading of this article?
Yeah, I just forgot what he was telling me. I was taking it to heart, but then I took it to heart so much I forgot it.
All right. I'm going to stop sharing so you can open your eyes.
It's gotta be.
I'll share it again.
I think that it's got to be some kind of that idea that this is a reading from the Old Testament. It's got to be some sort of Reformed Judaism. So like Judaism, but also it's like if Oprah had a Jewish guest. Who is Oprah's rabbi? This is my final answer. This is Who Wants to Be a Millionaire plus Table Talk Radio Jeopardy plus name that church body. Reform Judaism.
And the answer is?
The Kabbalah. That's Reform Judaism plus mysticism. That's how that goes. So
it's pretty interesting. So basically, so this is filled with some ironies because we think that if we would just drop our preconceived notions, then we would see things that we didn't see before. There's probably an element of truth to that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, our biases can color what we think.
Sure.
But that itself is a preconceived notion. Like that's not a neutral opinion to have, So
you can never escape it. We're all in the matrix.
Basically what this person is saying is forget what other people would say that would oppose or be different than what I'm telling you right now, and believe what I'm telling you and forget what other people tell you.
Right.
But forget any preconceived notions. I mean, the circular reasoning on this is.
I'm trying to think of what was helpful. I mean, there's some of these things are. I mean, we're doing this discernment, like what's the theology and what's the worldview kind of thing behind it, which is kind of fun.
Right.
But so we're not necessarily saying that's all right or all wrong. I think there's some, there might be. This whole thing is, you don't judge a book by the cover. We want to treat people as individuals, and we want to be. We want to be curious and engaged people in the world. I'm all for it. So. Insofar as it goes, but it doesn't really say much about truth, I'd say. Do I get that right, by the way? Are you going to give me credit for that?
No.
What?
No. Oprah is nowhere mentioned in this.
But you didn't read far enough. All right. Any other thoughts on it?
What about this last line? When we know there is good in all things and all people, we will always experience the best life has to offer. That sounds like someone who's about to be scammed or conned.
Yeah. So, right. What is our anthropology? Do we think people are good or do we think people are bad? And the answer is, well, it depends. We think people are created in the image of God, number one. Number two, we think people are fallen. And the image of God has been lost and that people are sinners. But we also know that Christ is the brother of all people, that he's redeemed everyone, and that all people will be resurrected. Now, that's more than just saying people are good. It's a quite complex anthropology, and we act according to that complexity and that wisdom.
Right. Okay. We need to take another break, and then we're going to be hearing from this old archaic thing called the book. Be right back.
Not really one of the best decisions you've made today. You're listening to Table Talk Radio.
Even our voiceover doesn't see all people as basically good. Hey, so am I. This is where the bumps. We run out of DJ quads. The last of
all
DJ
right,
quads.
So
bumps.
Pastor Wolfmueller was awarded 0 points in the last round of Name That Church Body.
Hey, if you're a Kabbalist, 0 points is the same as infinity points.
That's right. You are emptying yourself of the notion that 0 points is bad.
Preconceived notion that having no points means I'm losing.
Yeah.
All right. Here
I'm
you go.
ready to hear it.
I
Now, this is called what again? A book? There's pages. And...
pages. Popular symbolics. This is popular. That means symbolics means creeds. Popular means what people generally believe.
all the
about
rage.
stuff. I can't wait till this book is 5 years and this is going to be in the public domain. Let's see.
I was going to say, so this is 34. It was written.
Yep.
So I have to think about what's popular in 1934.
Indeed, you do.
I would bad thing about books is it doesn't
so
self-update.
Old. The first 150 pages is about the Lutherans, so that's boring stuff. So I want you to pick pages after 150 to maybe 500 or so. Somewhere in there is where it's going to talk about what other people believe, and you got to.
How is this book organized? By alphabet? By chronology?
Wouldn't you like to know?
I would like to know. You're not going to offer that information? No. Okay. I'm going to go with page 250.
Well, that is right here. Oh, nice. To understand the origin of these churches, we must remember that soon after the Reformation had triumphed in England, Protestantism there brought forth these three tendencies: Anglicanism, Puritanism, Independentism, or Separatism. The nature of Anglicanism can be gathered from what we said on the Protestant Episcopal Church. The Puritans were of the conviction that popery had not... Are you with me here still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Puritans were of the conviction that popery had not been sufficiently eliminated from the established church, but they wished to remain in the church and there bring about a change for the better. They wished, however, to see the people to be given a voice in the government of the church. The Separatists said, the church as it exists is altogether corrupt. Let us leave it.
Well, that's interesting. I'm trying to think what church body or church movement exists on top of those three that you just mentioned. You said Puritanism, Separatists, and
Anglicanism. Anglicanism, Puritanism, and Independentism or Separatism.
Yeah. So when you first started reading like the first sentence, I was immediately thinking, of course, because you're talking about moving into England, post-Reformation. I was thinking Anglicanism. Of course, we're looking at something higher than that. So I mean, this could be something as general as Calvinism or other Reformed. But are you reading more? Or is that?
Yep, I'll give you some more. It talks about these guys. Robert Brown, he was a pastor who advocated the principles. He immigrated to Holland in 1581. The two men who sold the pamphlets in England were hanged. Woof. Et cetera, et cetera. In 1620, on the Mayflower, a number of them came to America, founding Plymouth Colony. These people, the Pilgrim Fathers, then were separatist. Accepting the teaching of Calvin in other respects, they differed in their views on church polity. They, quite scripturally, made the congregation supreme. According to their teaching, each local church is independent. So they were opposed both to prelacy and Presbyterianism. Soon afterward, the settlers came who founded the Massachusetts Bay Colony. They were Puritans, mostly inclined towards Presbyterianism, and in England had not made common cause with the independents. But here in America, they gradually lost their antipathy and to the polity of these people, joined hands with the settlers of Plymouth, and together with them, they founded what is called this. In 1640, there were 33 churches in New England, and all but 2 were of this type. Wow.
Huh.
I, by the way, don't think I would have got this right. But then you'll say, once I say it.
So it's well known enough that I should know it.
Yeah, but it's hard.
I mean, it's because I was going to go for more of a generic, like just Calvinism in general, but this is a very particular. Would be just Presbyterian because you kind of.
You want another one? I'll give you another paragraph here. A few quotations must suffice to confirm what we have said on the Calvinistic character of the doctrine of these people. They state in the Savoy Declaration, chapter 20, paragraph 4.
Savoy, of course.
Although the gospel be the only outward means of revealing Christ and saving grace and is as such abundantly sufficient thereunto, yet that men who are dead in trespasses may be born again, quickened or regenerated, there is a moreover necessary and effectual, irreversible work of the Holy Ghost, upon the whole soul for the producing in them of a new spiritual life, without which no other means are sufficient for their conversion unto God.
I'm a big letdown to all of our Calvinist bloggers who are listening.
This is the Congregationalists.
Oh, yeah.
The Congregationalists. I don't think I would have got it. I'm telling you.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. That's nice, huh? This guy knows a bunch of stuff about this. Oh, well. Hey, you know,
didn't have to do any research either. He just sat down and wrote it.
That's right. I mean, I think my Kabbalist approach gives me a lot more freer take on my lack of points than your Congregationalist attitude towards having no points. I think you're part of the reprobate. This is very interesting. The Congregationalists took into their own Savoy Confession the statement of the Westminster Confession, chapter 3:6. By the decree of God for the manifestation of his glory, some men and angels are predestined to everlasting life, and others foreordained to everlasting death. They went for Westminster on double predestination, these Congregationalists. So if you ever see any Congregationalists hanging around, you could, say, hey, double predestination. Not so good.
Yeah. All right. I need a second to grab another one. You want to just go another one right off of you, and then I'll. Okay. Let's do page 400.
Really? That's what you want?
That's what I want.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Oh, this is good. I got a call from one of these guys this week. These guys have no formal creed. Their doctrinal position must be gleaned from the writing of Priestley, Channing, Charles Eliot, James Freeman Clarke, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Theodore Parker, etc. These writings, again, must be compared with the opinions of modern such and such, published in the tracts and booklets of this association, etc., etc. This is a religion exclusively for this world, this worldliness, quote, end quote. To this person, the one purpose of real religion is not to prepare people for another life, but to inspire them to live this as it ought to be lived. This religion, based entirely upon the conclusions of human reason, must of necessity be confined to moral, social, and economic questions. The Constitution of the National Conference excludes all problems which are beyond human reason from its religious program, quote, holding in accordance with Jesus' teaching that practical religion is summed up in love of God and man, end quote. Dr. Clarke's 5 propositions, commonly believed among these people as reasonable and effectual, can be accepted by the scientific mind, even when least religious. The points are these: 1, the fatherhood of God; 2, the brotherhood of man; 3, the leadership of Jesus. Wow, that's cool. 4, salvation by character. 5, the progress of man onward and upward forever. The boast of these folks is that they teach absolute spiritual liberty. In the words of Channing, quote, I call that mind free, which does not cower to human opinion, including the Bible, and which respects itself too much to be the slave or the tool of the many or the few.
So when I was thinking at the beginning, you were maybe talking about Scientology with the kind of focus on what is discovered by human reason. I don't know that Scientology would care about the leadership of Jesus, though. Although maybe they do. I just don't know about it. Another thought, although I know it's not the same thing, but the other thought would be like Christian Scientists. But I think
this is fascinating.
I'm going to guess Christian Scientists.
Let me give you another little sentence here. This communion, quote, in this communion, quote, Christian or pagan, theist or atheist, may follow truth to the uttermost bounds and speak the truth as he finds it, and is responsible only to his own conscience. Therefore, these folks reject all dogmas, quote, as neither central in religion nor essential to salvation. The creed system enslaves reason and arrests growth. Amazing. Here, I'll give it away. The Unitarian will accept only that which, quote, his enlightened reason and disciplined emotion sanction. Man is not answerable for the absolute truth as it exists in the mind of God.
So the Unitarian. So you had a Unitarian kind of.
I've been playing phone tag with the Unitarian down the street from us who wants to figure out how we're doing COVID stuff because they're just getting ready to open back up their church again. So
you should say we have some very dogmatic policies about that.
I wonder how they're going to do that. They're going to be like, they're going to say, you got to wear masks. And all the people are like, you can't tell me what to do.
I'm against.
I reject that dogma.
Policies.
That's it's a tough spot. Is that a new creed? But that's the difference, right? A creed is a matter of faith, not a matter of law. You can have all the legalisms you want. That's not the danger. The danger is facts about God, and that's what the Unitarian mind has to resist.
Yeah, once you say I believe this, now you're being too dogmatic. So. All right,
fascinating.
Take a break. Grab more from the internet right after this.
Table Talk Radio. The disaster continues.
Take it easy. Recording. We're going. Barrel, barrel, barrel. Unitarians, bring your gardening gloves. Next week, we'll be out there honoring the earth. I, by the way, cannot hear any bump music.
That's because it's not playing yet. Waiting for you to stop talking.
Oh, okay. Talking over the bump music is advanced radio hosting.
The good news is that this is almost over.
That's for all.
I got another one for you.
For you,
We're
me,
doing,
and the
name
listener.
that church body.
All right, I'm ready.
I pull from the interwebs.
Still working that internet?
Close your eyes.
Internet still working?
Close your eyes.
All right.
All
Eyes
right.
are closed.
Okay, so there's not a lot to go off of, which might be a clue for you.
Okay.
I will tell you. Well, maybe I won't tell you. That might be a little bit of a giveaway. So, you have our mission and our vision.
Okay.
And it starts out with the headline, deliberately diverse and fully inclusive.
Wow. Okay.
We seek to be a deliberately diverse community of faith.
Okay.
Our strength grows in proportion to the diversity of the voices in our midst. That is
Ooh.
an interesting thought.
That is.
Our strength. Okay. Our congregation is made up of a variety of
I wonder how
people
serious
from
they are about that. Like, I wonder if they want to have a voice that's, say, against diversity.
That's no. That's not a voice that's welcome here, I'm sure. Our congregation is made up of a variety of people from a variety of backgrounds and socioeconomic status. We are rich, poor, homeless, housed, black, white, gay, and straight. And we gather together to live in our call to be the body of Christ. Will you consider joining us in this effort? All right, so that's just the kind of header.
Okay, body of Christ. That's a Christian thing, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Christian-ish.
All right. Our mission. Oh man, this is going to give it away. Our mission: deliberately diverse and fully inclusive. I'm just going to pause here and say, it'd be one thing to say this is our mission and we're diverse in the process, but their mission is diversity. I mean, it's not even that they have a real mission. It's just to be diverse in being diverse.
It seems like if that was your mission, you'd want to maybe have 3 or 4 different missions.
Okay, anyway.
Keep
deliberately
it mixed,
diverse.
keep it mixed up. How is it? I'm so offended that they just have one mission. That's not diverse at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's a homogeneous mission statement.
Let me get through this.
Everyone all has the
Deliberately
same
diverse
mission
and-
around here. There's no. What about someone with a different mission? Can't we get someone with a different mission? No. We have the same. We are unified, singular, in our one mission for diversity. They said
Can I read this?
unironically. Sure.
Okay. Deliberately diverse and fully inclusive, something 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 church in downtown Austin is a community of Christian faith where each person is welcomed as a unique child of God.
Did you pull up my church website?
And I got vision left. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Ministering to the needs of God's people is at the heart of this congregation. Individually and together, we respond to God's love, grace, and justice in Jesus Christ, guided by Scripture and our Reformed tradition.
Oh.
We actively work toward peace, justice, and spiritual growth through worship, music, fellowship, Christian education, and service to others.
Didn't it
We
used to be
continue to
peace, justice,
glorify-
and the American way? Peace. But this is peace,
Peace,
justice, and spiritual growth.
Listen,
I want
I'm
I want
sure
this
that-
church to be diverse enough to include people who are spiritually shrinking also.
I'm sure the guy who
Spiritual little
volunteered to
people.
put together a website said, "What do you want me to put on the What We Believe page?" Yeah, just think of something, whatever you think. Like peace, justice, and
Put a bunch of different words. That's what we're all
spiritual
about, having a
growth.
bunch of different stuff.
All right, so work towards peace, justice, spiritual growth through worship, music, fellowship, Christian education, which would seem counterintuitive to their mission. But anyway, service to others. We continue to glorify God and proclaim the good news of Jesus Christ.
Wow. Wonder what, but
right.
that good news is never quite mentioned, is it?
I stopped sharing so you can.
I kind of like having my eyes closed.
I mean, it is. It is interesting to even be so narrowly minded to say we're going to be teaching the teachings of Jesus when you're a all-inclusive diverse group,
That's because you care about words. That's why that you find that ironic. So a couple of interesting things. Number one is, what do we think about diversity? And the answer is the church is Catholic. That's what we used to say, Catholic. In other words, the church does not belong to a certain country or nationality or even this made up idea of race. So when we see the church gathered around the throne of the Lamb in Revelation, in the glorious vision, we see people from every tribe, tongue, people, and nation. There's a fantastic, what we now call diversity there, but what we used to just call humanity. And that's what Jesus does. And so in some ways, as the children of Noah, we rejoice in the fact that Jesus is the one who saves all people. But it is strange to make that your mission, to be, your whole mission is to be diverse. Now, I don't know. I'm kind of split on this thing because I remember the worst conversation ever. Well, no, this is the third worst conversation ever. Trademark. I've got these really bad conversations. And one of them was with a mission director who, when I remember, I was a baby pastor, and I said, well, I think, we should probably not do mission by race. We should just probably try to preach the gospel to all people and have churches filled with all people from everywhere, like Revelation gives. And the guy said, well, you can try. That doesn't work. Ooh. I mean, that's just. But at
so in other words, you have to have like the Korean outreach. You have to have all the different.
That's crazy. But on the other hand, to say that the end goal is not faith in Christ, saving faith in Christ, but rather a diverse representation of all the cross sections, all the intersectionalities of people. Here's the way to test what's going on there. It's one thing if if you put a church sign up that says, we welcome, let's just take since they brought it up, the question of sexuality, right? We welcome all people here, including people who are homosexual. Okay, fine. What could you say? We welcome all people here, including people who are homophobic. Are those sinners welcome also? And that's where this whole thing starts to fall apart. So you realize that it's not, in fact, that tolerance is just there's a certain way that tolerance goes. Jesus loved the sinners, but he hated the Pharisees. No.
Mhm.
He also loved the Pharisees. He also died for the Pharisees. He also called St. Paul to be his own, so that Jesus is, there is a way that we are receiving people who have been shamed from every angle of the culture.
So I mean, so really, what this is really just an embrace of sin, because, I mean, because of where we are, we don't maybe put it this way, but you and I would also say everyone is welcome to our church.
Yeah, right.
No one excluded. I
Right.
mean, we would not exclude anyone from our church. But for all people who come, there's a process of learning our beliefs and ascribing unto themselves, if they want to join membership, I believe this.
Mhm.
And part of that process is to confess and acknowledge my sin, and that is true of everyone who comes.
Mhm.
No single person gets to say, I believe what you teach, but I need not confess this sin as sin.
Right.
Right.
So
what the church down the road from you is saying, I don't know where your church is. I mean, what they're saying is, what they're reacting against is that there are churches who don't accept people like this. But it's not that they're not being accepted. It's that they don't want to make that confession. They want to make the confession of sin. So what we are then is a church or a congregation of people who would otherwise be excluded from an Orthodox confession of faith.
Right.
Is that too harsh?
Or an Orthodox confession of creation, that look, is racism a sin? Yes. Are there people who are oppressed because they're minorities and that's wrong? Yes. Okay, fine. But that should not be, we don't end when we should say those things, but we don't end saying those things. There's more to say. And what happens in a lot of these churches is that the sin, instead of being, they'll say it, individual breaking of the law, but the sin is the systemic oppression of the structure of society. Well, okay, maybe there's a place for the prophetic preaching of the church in that, but salvation is not found in the absolution of society's systemic sin. Salvation is found in the blood of Jesus being brought to me, and the wrath of Jesus being turned away from me and my sin onto his son,
right,
so that I can go to heaven.
I don't mean to cut you off, but real quick, what's your guess on this?
University of Texas.
This is actually Central Presbyterian Church, downtown Austin.
Central.
Yeah,
that's right. The Presbyterian Seminary is right by me.
Oh.
And the Episcopalian Seminary, which cranks out the pastors. It's great. The Episcopalian Seminary is always selling books in their library for $0.25, and there's all this great old theology that they're just offloading.
There you go. Thanks for listening to Table Talk Radio,
where it's shameful to be part of the Sanhedrin.
Table Talk Radio. Table Talk Radio.
That was weak
Please
sauce.
consult your pastor before listening to Table Talk Radio.
It's like my kids say, that was dog water. Have you heard that one yet?
Just from you.
Dad, that joke was dog water.
Internal bleeding, internal combustion, a sudden craving to smell your backseat, claustrophobia, an uncontrollable urge to fight the Kabbalists on Twitter, and falling off the treadmill. For more information, visit tabletalkradio.org.
That confession of faith was dog water.